car accidents. We were bailing out sex workers. George Bush in 2003 had passed 245, the last kind of meaningful immigration reform that was passed. Really painful. It was actually him and Reagan that have passed the immigration reforms that are needed today. But it just having that experience really shaped my worldview. And has really helped me develop into the elected official that I've turned out to be. My parents came from Colombia in the 70s. I was born here. My mom was a member of the International Lady Garment Workers Union, and my dad worked at a printing shop on the Upper East Side. And all I got to see was how all of these immigrants worked so hard, sacrificed time with their families, tried to do all of the things they could to maximize opportunity. And unfortunately, at every turn, in my experience, I saw that the system stopped them, that the system didn't help them, that there was obstacle after obstacle for them to get paid for every hour that they had worked, to make sure that they had the right protections on the job, no matter what it was that they were doing. So seeing that vulnerability has really been my driving force to be an advocate for Carlos's law, to have passed the prevailing wage for construction here in New York State, to have passed the Warehouse Worker Protection Act, the Construction Fatalities Registry that we wrote and passed with NYCOSH, with Charlene and Mike McGuire from the Mason tenders. Really important. Not a lot of people know that prior to the pandemic, here in New York City, we used to lose a construction worker every 5 days. And the vast majority of them from Corona, Queens, one of the neighborhoods that I represent. And quite frankly, the more that I understand all of these industries and therefore labor markets, the louder I want to scream that immigrants are not disposable, that human beings deserve to live full lives, that there's a labor movement here ready to protect them, to fight for them, and that we are joined by so many amazing allies in the legal community, in the New York State Trial Lawyers Association, many of whom are here, and of course, other unions and worker organizations that are leading the way and teaching our immigrants that they have a voice, and that whether you're a New Yorker or an old New Yorker like me, we are actually the same in the eyes of the law. And that is really, really important as New Yorkers, that we never forget that. I know that sometimes for some folks, there can be a sort of episode of generational amnesia, where you forget that your grandparents, your great-grandparents, how they came to this country, whether it was by choice or by force, right? It is all of us who have made this happen, and there will be other future waves of immigration, and in preparation for those future waves of immigration, we must pass bills to protect parents and workers and children and all of our people. So that's why I'm so proud to be celebrating with NYCOSH as we continue to push for our nail salon minimum standard, that without a car. We love you, and of course, working to pass temp with the Teamsters, with NICE from Jackson, New Jersey Community Empowerment. If you don't know them, that helps them out. There are so many people on the front lines doing the real work that needs doing. When we think about what it means to be a community, we forget sometimes, I think, that from the bird's eye view, we each play a role in what it is that we do for a living, to provide the services that we need for each other, and it actually is that work that binds us together. And it's why it's, I think, so critical that there have been labor leaders that have stepped up to say, you know what, I'll run for office. We need more of that. I would love to see members of NICE and Adhikar run for office someday. That should be the goal. Beyond that, and it's why I'm so honored tonight to introduce someone so special, someone who I greatly admire, because not only was he, of course, a luminary as the mayor of Boston, but before that, he was a rank and file, card-carrying, book-carrying construction worker just like his dad, and worked his way up the ladder precisely because his colleagues believed in him, and then his neighbors believed in him, and then the President of the United States believed in him so much that he decided to make Marty Walsh U.S. Secretary of Labor at one of the most critical times in our nation's history. Everything is so polarized right now, and I have to tell you, even I, believe it or not, get really frustrated about how it is that we're going to bridge these gaps in the political discourse to make people realize that we actually have more common ground than not. We all want to raise our families, we all want to earn it properly. This means that we want people who are on the front lines, willing to make those tough calls and willing to push at the various negotiating tables, whether you're negotiating a contract or you're negotiating legislation and regulations, someone who really understands workers' voices. So it was no surprise to me that after leaving the Department of Labor, he, of course, decided to pursue a leadership role at the National Hockey Players Association, which sounds like a really fun job, and I can't wait to hear about it. But please join me precisely to welcome and to celebrate an amazing labor hero in our country who helped us secure a ton of money for the infrastructure that we need to get built. And we can't wait to see those shovels in the ground and our people working, right? Yeah. All right, so come meet the guy who helped make all of this happen. Please give a round of applause to the former Department of Labor's U.S. Secretary, Marty Walsh.
Thank you, Senator. And what I want to say in a short period of time, let me just thank you. You know, some of my greatest political office was being in the legislature in Massachusetts because I had a chance to work with so many great organizations in Massachusetts, and you know, NYCOSH is a mess, and I filed bills for them to get Lacrosil out of the floors for the Indian community, mostly doing hardwood flooring in Massachusetts and the Brazilian community. Working on workers' rights legislation, working on all the things that are happening here in this great state. So thank you for all the work you do. Thank you for fighting every day. To Jessica and Charlene, thank you so much. This is really an honor for me. I don't know how a Patriot fan got to the stage here today. Perfect, right on, and thank you for all the work you do, because that is so important. We have to continue to diversify our trades. And for the non-union worker out there, the independent contractors out there that are being taken advantage of, the only game in town is the building trades, and we have to make sure we make it right. There's a sticker on one side, and one side sticker has numbers on it, and those numbers signify usually the local union that you belong to or that person belongs to, and those numbers represent a pension and healthcare, annuity, sick time, paid family leave, good pay benefits, safety job sites, all that. And then the other side, they have a sticker that doesn't say Biden, it says the other guy's name. Those two stickers don't jive. They don't jive. Because if the other guy cared about organized labor, he'd be on TV or in this town hall talking about the importance of the United Auto Workers to get a contract, and he's not doing that. Thank you very much.
I had to survive, and I went through many, many hardships. It was a hard time, and I suffered many types of problems, and it really hurt my heart to have to work in that way.
त्यसै गरी काम गर्दै जाँदाखेरि चाहिँ अब हामीलाई अब एभ्रीडे हाम्रो दुःख पोखाउने ठाउँ थिएन, तर हामी सर्भाइभ हुनु पर्थ्यो। तर काम गर्दै जाँदाखेरि हामीलाई लाइसेन्सको प्रब्लम गर्यो, हाम्रो ल्याङ्ग्वेज थिएन, हामीले आफ्नो ल्याङ्ग्वेजको चाहिँ लाइसेन्स दिनु पाउने थिएन, चार्ज दिनु पाउने थिएन। त्यस कारण धेरै प्रब्लम भयो। लाइसेन्स चेकिङ आउनसाथ कहिले किचनमा लुक्न गए, कहिले टोयलेटमा लुक्न गए, कहिले कस्टमर बनेर चाहिँ हात सुकाएर पछि धेरै प्रब्लम भयो।
I didn't really have anyone that I could share my problems or the suffering that I was going through with. At that time, we were all unlicensed because we couldn't take the licensing exam in our own language, and it was impossible to do so knowing that we didn't know English. We would work long hours, and if they would come to do inspections, I remember we would go and hide in the kitchen or the bathroom. Sometimes we would pretend like we were customers so that they wouldn't find that we were unlicensed.
So we've come to the conclusion of our program, but before we officially close, there was one more group of people that I think we need to thank tonight, and that's the NYCOSH staff. If you all could stand up so that we all know who you are, tonight would not have happened without them, and the work that we're celebrating tonight would not be possible without them. And just so you know what we've accomplished this evening, we have raised $150,000 through this event tonight. But know that the work that we do requires a lot of resources. And so if you can, if you're able, we have this beautiful giving tree in the back of the room. You see the Christmas lights on it. That's right, Chris Erickson is pointing out, showcasing it. There are QR codes on the leaves. You're able to go to the donation page and contribute what you can by giving through the giving tree if you can.
Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo está? Mi nombre es Charlie Uruchima, soy coordinador de programas de NYCOSH, la organización del Comité de Salud y Seguridad Ocupacional en Nueva York. Y bueno, hoy acabamos de celebrar la gala anual de NYCOSH. Hoy conmemoramos a una organización, se llama ADICAR, que bueno, trabaja con trabajadores nepalis en la industria del salón de uñas. Les dimos un reconocimiento por el trabajo que están haciendo. También nosotros como NYCOSH también nos involucramos en este trabajo. Estamos en una coalición juntos pidiendo mejores estándares en la industria del salón de uñas. Y bueno, aparte de eso también dimos reconocimiento al el secretario de Labor de Estados Unidos, Marty Walsh, quien también estuvo aquí, dio un speech bastante conmovido. Y bueno, entonces ahorita pues estamos básicamente queriendo compartir esa experiencia con todos, pasar un buen tiempo. Y es algo una vez al año que lo hacemos, traemos a todos nuestros aliados, están compas de la organización NICE, de Workers Justice Project, de sindicatos, abogados, y bueno, entonces estamos, y también senadores como Jessica Ramos, y estamos pues muy contentos de estar aquí con todos, y bueno, gracias también por asistir.